D&D fellows, and welcome to episode 14 of Holy Rollerz, a 4.5 D&D clerical campaign where each of the characters can channel divinity, and the party has now advanced to level 3. So, woohoo! Gentlemen, would you like to tell everybody what it is that you picked when you advanced your character?
Yes, we totally do. All of us do.
Or would you prefer to be furtive, secretive, and mysterious?
Furtive is my way, but I will say I chose. Just say what I chose, right?
Sure. What is it?
Okay. It's called Inspire Fanaticism. So I guess we'll kind of see what it looks like when and if I use it, but it's a lovely little power. You can imagine what it would do.
As if the party was not religious enough. Okay, very good. Jeffrey, what did you pick?
Well, I would like to say that this is inspired by Fthora, but I've had this power picked since I created the character, so... Okay. Or at least since the first week. I picked Flowing Swarm.
Whoa.
Which is a nice druid power. And... yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what swarm you choose. Ryan, what did you pick?
I picked Mocking Smite. It's a paladin power, not a bard power, but it sure feels bardy to me.
Yeah, I'm sure that it fits. Very cool. All right, very well. Let us get started then, gentlemen. Let's start with a bit of lore. So, the world of Ienia has never had any connection to the realm of Beator, more commonly known as the Nine Hells. Before the coming of the outer gods, the forces judged souls based on how well they followed the divine purpose assigned to their race. Each soul was eternally reborn, learning and growing with each cycle of life. The souls that betrayed the divinely appointed mission of their race or committed heinous atrocities against the natural order were sent to the Magra Marosh, a prison domain constructed in the far realm. The forces appointed 7 archangels to guard the prison realm for eternity, but they didn't understand the nature or power of the far realm. After a time, that realm of madness infected the archangels, and they began to resent their divine mission until they fell. Now free to wander the plains, the gods they served long gone, it remains to be seen what the fallen will do, or what they will become, and what will become of the prison that they once guarded. So, okay. Now for a little recap. So last time on Holy Rollerz, the clerics received a visitation from Saint Delia Adira, the demigoddess of beauty. The demigoddess flirted with the clerics, and she gave each of them advice on how to improve their attractiveness. She told Lachlan to get highlights and moisturize frequently. She advised Anduriel to let more of his light side show, and magically instilled him with an accent of nobility from the capital of Lair. She advised Gizik to wear bright colors and tame his hair. And she commanded Lachlan to help him. The clerics asked to know who the king on the chessboard was behind the threat facing the Adari Republic. The demigoddess told them that the power behind the conspiracy was Navariel, the fallen archangel of pride. She shared with them the history of the fallen and told them that the archdevils had taken up residence in the old astral realm of the forgotten gods and were attempting to transform it into a new hell. They also learned that the fallen had allies amongst the archfey and the demon gods. While they may have learned the power behind the threat, they have yet to end the threat in Winter Run. And that is where we will begin for the evening. So, moving on. Okay, so gentlemen, you decided shortly after you notified the Just Blades of the thing that you had done in freeing the spirits of the dead from the mausoleum when you slew the chain devil and whatnot. And then after your audience with Saint Delia Adira, you headed back to the Chapel of Bestera in Winter Run in order to make sure that Epistavis's body had been burned and taken care of so that he would have no place for his spirit to return to. It remains to be seen how long the chain devil committed to keeping his spirit from moving on, or whether or not he even needs it to move on. But that being said, you all were pretty sure you didn't want him to have a body to go back to. So, in any case, so you head back to the chapel, and pleasantly enough, you are quite pleased to see a big billowing pyre of smoke behind the church, rising out of a big pile that you can't really quite make out. But as you enter the churchyard, you are able to see there is a steady fire going in the backyard, so to speak.
Does it smell like long pig?
Does it smell like what?
Long pig?
Long pig.
That's another name. That's what cannibals call humans.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, here on Holy Rollerz, we endorse all kinds of eating lifestyles, including veganism, long pig, vegetarianism, and meatism. Whatever. Carnivorous by forever. Anyway, moving on. So you kind of you can't necessarily smell anything, but there's a nice fire going in the back, and then you see Brother Miles Havernell, that halfling priest, walking towards you as he walks away. He's walking around the church away from the pyre, and he looks he has a very disturbed look on his face, and his lips are pursed, very, very distasteful. And he's like, "Oh, you've returned. We got your message. Thora came. He had to go. He had to return to the shrine that he was tending to check in, but he said he'd be back as soon as he was able. He said we had to. Well, he wanted us to start a fire, and he said, should we go inside and have some pie, maybe, or a nice cup of tea, or
pie it is.
Good. That's a good idea, and we'll just let the fire burn for a little bit. I think that'll be fine. And yes, okay. So he heads into the chapel, very much out of sorts, and he looks up at the three of you all like, "Tell me something good, anything."
We killed a devil and a witch.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes.
We also took care of restoring the consecration of one of Bestera's statues. A couple of the Just Blades had a pretty amazing religious experience.
And he says, "Oh," and he gets up to the front door of the chapel, and he raps on it sharply with his walking stick, basically. He raps on it sharply, and after a few moments, Sister Contratia opens the door, pulls the bar that she had locking the chapel doors open, lets you. Is she what?
Is she the dumb one?
Are you asking me if Sister Contratia appears to be intellectually challenged?
She's the one who has an intelligence score of about 3.5 or something.
No, animals have an intelligence of 3. Sister Contratia's intelligence is probably a good solid 7.
But she's sweet. She's really sweet.
Yes. Well, she's very, very sweet and quite faithful. But Sister Contratia was the one who was sticking forks in the ground, possibly trying to grow forks. In the back. Thora was working with her. She never quite grasped that, but she's very sweet. Anyway, you come in and to the chapel, and you are gratified to see that Brother Ferrante is hard at work polishing the beautiful, beautiful pews surrounding the podium that is raised up. And you have a better look at that now that you have that new battleground that I sent you, provided battle. I mean, I don't know if battle's going to happen here, but now it can. Now you're free to attack anybody in this building you want to.
Roll initiative.
Hey, take that, Brother Miles. Your pie sucks.
Change the campaign.
Wait a minute. I see someone start talking. We must destroy them.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, if anybody pulls out some tarot cards, they're going down.
Like Donkey
Okay,
Kong.
wow. Gizik, you better not learn any divinations. All right, moving on here. Or if you do, you better not practice them in front of them. Okay.
Most of the Vistani were good to us. You know, they helped us out, gave us some good advice and some weird fortune telling. It was just the one.
Just one, yeah.
She might not even be from the same tribe.
Yeah. Who knows? You really don't know anything about Marietta other than her name because Epistovus yelled it, I believe, during the combat. But in any case, he takes you back. Sister Contratia smiles weakly at you, but she also kind of like smiles nervously at you, like, "Hi, welcome back. You guys are great. Like, love having you here." And anyway, so Brother Havernell brings you back to the living quarters behind the chapel proper, and he diligently gets out a piece of pie, and Sister Contratia sits down at the table, and Brother Havernell and Sister Contratia both pull up chairs around the table, and he starts serving the pie. So, and he turns to you and he says, "So, you fought a devil?" It's like, and he serves himself another piece of pie. It's like, so what did you find there? What was the devil doing in a cemetery?
Not to be indelicate, Brother Havernell, but I must ask, did you burn Epistovus's body? Is that what the fire is in the back?
He looks at you for a minute like, wait. He just gives you a funny look for a minute, and then he looks like he's like, the body. Oh, yes, we burned his body. Thora said it was absolutely necessary, that he was going to try to repossess it, something, and I just we can't have any. I mean, no, dead people don't usually walk in our church.
Yeah. I'm sorry to make you uncomfortable, Brother Havernell. Eat some pie.
No, not at all. Not at all. Please.
You may want to put your fork down for what we're about to describe, though. So the chain devil was working in concert with the witch. They were the ones responsible for the unrest of the dead. So we managed the problem.
Okay. Sister Contratia and Duriel looks at you and she goes, "What's wrong with your voice?"
We had a visit.
Okay, she says that, and Brother Havernell goes, "Sister." Like, she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was that bad? Was it bad? Were you punished by your god?"
It's quite all right, Brother Havernell. Your simpleton asks a good question. We had a visitor while we were down in the vault, and we received some information. Bard, you're better at this. Why don't you explain?
Do you know?
I hope I caught you right when you were eating a piece of pie.
Do you know? Do you know Saint Delia Adira? Do you know of her?
And he says, "I don't think she's one of the..." He starts going through the list, and he's spewing the names that you've already heard before. He's going over the list of the marchers who followed Vestera on her walk through the Adari Republic when she was healing the land after the Shattering Era. And he goes through and he goes, "I don't believe she's counted among the saints."
She serves the greater goddess Sindel.
Oh, one of your saints. Oh, no, I've not heard of Delia Adira. What does she do?
She's the goddess of beauty. She does it all.
Okay. All
We're all
right.
kind of moony-eyed. It's not lying.
That's not it. Hey, we know. So what do you know, Brother Havernell, of the Fallen?
Well, let's see. All right. He says, "The Fallen." He says, "Are you referring to fallen angels?"
Indeed. We found the puppet master behind the strings that are being pulled with the faith of man, the red caps, the whole lot of it. It's Navariel.
Okay.
The fallen angel Navariel.
He looks and he says, The fallen angel what?
Navariel of pride. An angel, a fallen angel of pride.
A fallen angel of pride is behind all of this? And what did you say his name was again?
We'll just call him Bill for now.
Okay, it becomes quite obvious to you as his face kind of twitches that you could say Navariel's name 100 times and he wouldn't be able to retain it. So for some reason, he is unable to hold on to the name. Did Saint Delia Adira tell you about that?
She did, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So you've now witnessed in person kind of what happens when someone tries to learn the name of one of the fallen. That the gods have stricken their name from creation, for now, anyway. You seem to have no problem remembering his name. But Brother Havernell can't hold it in his head. However, he does. It occurs to you, and you remember that his priests have another name for him that Brother Havernell is quite familiar with.
The High One.
The high one.
Bill, the High One.
Bill the High One.
Ooh, yeah, Bill.
Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. So he looks at you, and he says, "Oh my. I believe I'm going to need a mug of ale." And he gets down off the chair and goes over to a cask, gets some flagons out, and he says, "Sister, could you please?" And Sister Contratia goes, and she grabs a bunch of wine glasses and brings them over to the table, and puts the wine glasses down in front of you as Brother Havernell is filling up the ale from the cask over on the other side of the room, looking at her, and he goes, Sister. And she says, "Oh." And she picks up your wine glasses and goes over and fills your wine glasses up with ale, and then brings them over and sets them in front of you. And then she looks and she says, "Well, a fallen angel, is that bad?" Well, I mean, it sounds very bad, but I've never heard of a fallen angel before. Brother Havernell shakes his head and starts tipping it back.
Yes, and he's working in concert with at least one of the Archfey and a demon lord. It's not a good alliance.
Okay, Brother Havernell spits some of his ale out, and he says, "Demons and Archfey?
Demons, Archfey, and devils. Oh my."
Okay, I believe I'm going to need a pinch of snuff." He's like, anyway. Brother Havernell is very out of sorts, and he looks up at you and he says, "I wish Hope Master Andante was here. He'd be able to make much more sense of this. I don't know really what we should do.
We should find him. We got to find that guy.
We should find him. We should absolutely find him. He's being, well, I know we don't need to find him. I know where he is. He's being held in Castle Winterrun, but the castle's been closed up ever since the Night Lord's daughter was taken ill." And he says, and that was some weeks ago. That was more than 2 weeks ago, at least. No one's been able to go in. He says it's been, well, I mean, that's part of what's mucking everything up, don't you know? There are a number of matters that should be taken to the Night Lord. In his place, the Just Blades are doing the best they can with the help of the faith of man. Darn their muffins. Just,
Oh.
he says that Sister Contratia is like, "Oh, like,
Oh my.
yeah."
Brother Havernell, what do you know about exorcism?
Well, I try to get on good walk-in 3 times a week. It's really... Okay. Well, let's see how much he knows about exorcism. Okay. He seems to know quite a bit about exorcism. So Brother Havernell tells you, "Well, I know that an exorcism is a ritual that a cleric can perform in order to drive an offending spirit out of the body or to drive an offending spirit out of a location." I don't
do it?
No. He says, I don't, but I'm sure Hope Master Andante knows how to do it. Hope Master Andante can drive evil from even the darkest heart. I've seen him do it. his ministry has been quite impressive until late. And I don't believe it. I don't believe what they've accused him of. And neither does Sister Contratia. Do you, Sister? Sister Contratia. Believe what? No. And she says, Hope Master Andante. And she's like, yes, he didn't, no, I don't know. And she just kind of shakes her head and frowns, and they both look pretty sad for a minute. But he says, we need to get Hope Master Andante's name cleared, or at least speak to the Night Lord on his behalf. He's been held for quite a while now. This is most irregular. And he says, in any case, I'm not sure where we would go to find out how to get into the castle. But maybe that's something that, well, and he starts thinking, well, yes, you could ask, and then there's a pounding on the front doors of the chapel.
Finish your sentence.
Sister Contratia, she takes her wine glass of ale and she goes, oh, and she spills it and she flings half of it on Gizik. And then she looks over and she goes, oh, and she grabs a rag, and then Gizik, she comes over and goes to mop at you, and then she gets a good look at you, and then she backs up again. And then she puts the rag on the table and pushes it, just nudges it towards you.
I just kind of wave my hand in front of myself and with prestidigitation, clean up all that wine.
Okay. All right. So Brother Havernell gets down off of his seat and he says, would one of you please accompany me to the front door? Or two of you, perhaps.
I would be happy to.
I'm already standing.
All right. So do you just the two of you? Lachlan, do you stay there? Do you want to talk to Sister Contratia alone?
Where are we on the map?
Where are you on the map? You're not even on the map. You're that map of the first chapel I gave you.
Uh-huh.
It's a very similar model to that. If we had to use it, we could use that map, that other map. The one of the chapel from Hollydale. The living quarters are the same construction. This chapel is a different construction because Winter Run has to house hundreds of people at a time for their services. So at least it needs to have the potential to hold hundreds of people at a time. So it's constructed a bit differently. But anyway, all right. So you guys, you go with Brother Havernell to the front door. Lachlan, do you go with, or?
I'm gonna keep I want to put some cover between me and the front door.
Okay.
People just don't go banging on the front door of a church. I mean, unless they're like, posting some sort of bulletin or condemning the building or something. I don't know.
Well, they don't go banging on the front door of the church. However, keep in mind that Winter Run's chapel has been locked for the time that Hope Master Andante told them to close the church and not let anybody in. So they've kept the church locked. Anybody who wants into the church is going to have to either come through one of the stained glass windows or the steeple bell tower, or they're going to have to bang on the door. So unless there's a secret door, in which case you might have some questions. But anyway, so Brother Havernell walks to the front door, and there's no porthole for them to look through of any kind. So he just speaks loudly, and he says, yes, this is Brother Havernell. The chapel is closed right now. I'm sorry. Is there something that you need? And you hear a voice said, Brother Havernell, my name is Dr. Abinor Fields. I was wondering if I might have a discussion with you, perhaps, about the feeding and care of the poor. The church seems to have closed its doors and discontinued the organization of those services, and frankly, it's time they started up again. Could we please have a discussion? Brother Havernell looks nervous, and he looks at you two. And Duriel, you being the slightly less monstrous looking, he looks at you like he says, "Our doors have been closed for some time now, and to be honest with you, I do feel some guilt."
Brother Havanel, is this a common request? Do you frequently have doctors coming and asking about these things?
It's not a common thing for the doors of the church to be closed. This whole situation is uncommon. I apologize for our lack of understanding and what to do and how to behave, but this is quite a different experience from the way the church is used to operating. We don't close our doors to those in need.
Again, Brother Havanel, not to be indelicate, but the poor aren't going anywhere. Perhaps this conversation could be tabled for another time.
Okay. He says, yes, okay. And he leans up closer to the crack between the doors and speaks loudly, and he says, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, Dr. Fields, but I'm afraid the church isn't available to assist in charitable works at this time. But the goddess will provide, and I'm sure our doors will open soon." Okay. In any case, Dr. Fields is quiet for a moment and then speaks up and he says, "Brother Havernell, I'm only asking to have a civil conversation with you within the walls of your very chapel. I give you my word on Bestera herself that I will conduct no form of harm upon your person when I am therein."
Brother Havanel, this is your church, and I will let you make your decision. I would not let this person in. These are dangerous times. But if you feel you must, I would suggest letting the ogre open the door.
All right. So, Brother Havanel looks up at you and he says, "Our doors cannot remain closed forever." And he says, "I thank you for your counsel. But," and then he goes and he opens the door and he says, before he lifts the latch on the door, he says, "For a short conversation then." And he goes and lifts the latch on the door. And
Duria would like to reach out and grab his hand. "Seriously, Brother Havanel, I would let the ogre open the door. He's not expecting him. It might put you less of a dangerous situation, more of an advantage."
Okay. He nods at you and pulls back and he says, "Mr. Gizik, would you please open the door?" And then he takes a few steps backwards.
"Fine, but I'm not your butler." And I reach out and grab the doors and open them up a little bit so that I'm kind of standing and filling the gap between the doors. And then I look out. Who's out there?
Right. So you look out, and you look out the door, and you see two men standing outside of the door. One of them is you'd probably say he's middle-aged. He's a middle-aged man in a green suit with a white, kind of roughly billowy shirt, and a brown handkerchief in his suit pocket. Pretty nice suit, looks like. He definitely looks like a professional who probably doesn't get his hands too dirty or have many calluses, perhaps. Either that or he's wearing his Sabbath best, one of the two. And he has a very placid look on his face. He's got a very neatly trimmed goatee and beard, and he's got flecks of white all through his beard and through the sides of his hair. So middle-aged. He looks like he could be in his mid-40s or maybe a little bit older. Very thin, but pretty tall. He's about 5'11", and he has his hands just kind of folded neatly in front of him like this, and he nods to you. And then you see the man who is standing very close behind him, kind of just staggered like that behind him. Kind of does not look like that at all. He is a quite young man. He's got black hair pulled back into a very short ponytail, and he has a black eye patch running over. He's got stubble, beard all over, very handsome but unkempt. And his clothes are, they look like they were nice at one point, but he's neither not taken care of them. Not that he looks slovenly, his clothing just looks worn. He is also carrying a huge greatsword across his back and looks to you and with his one eye and just stares you right in the face. And Dr. Fields looks at you and he nods and he says, "Thank you very much for opening the door. Now, could we please enter the chapel and have a brief conversation?"
Okay, doctor, the other one, come on in, have some pie. And I step back away from the door.
Okay, so you step away from the door and he comes in. He courteously dusts his feet or kicks them against the wood before coming in, kind of wipes the mud off, nods to you as you open the door, and he comes in and he says, "Thank you very much, gentlemen, for letting me in." And then he takes a look around the chapel and just pauses for a minute. The man with the eye patch in the back looks at you, Gizik, and doesn't take his eyes off you for a second. Would like you to make an insight check. Both of you.
20.
14.
All right. He seems not tense, but very prepared. He looks like he feels confident. He's not intimidated by you or your size, and he's not intimidated by your appearance. And you're kind of not startled by that, but surprised by it, because even Sister Contratia, who's seen you multiple times, is still startled by your appearance. He doesn't seem to be. Not only that, but he and Dr. Fields seems at ease with you, where he's doing a very good job of showing that he's at ease. And however, the other man with the eye patch is just taking your measure. And you can tell that he is not necessarily waiting for you or Anduriel to do something, but he's ready for it. So he's just kind of being watchful. In any case, so he kind of just stares at you, and Dr. Fields comes in and looks around, takes good stock of the chapel, and he says, My, you have constructed a beautiful building here. He says, "I've always loved stained glass windows." And he's looking at the stained glass windows and kind of studying them. And he kind of walks past you towards the center of the room. And he says, "You'll forgive me." He says, "I don't make it a habit of attending services, so I haven't really ever gotten a good look." And he, as he moves forward, you can see from the back in the pews, back behind the podium that's in the center, you can see that the other member of the chapel, Brother Ferrante, who is perpetually polishing and tending, just kind of scowls at him as he comes in. Like, what do you kind of scowl? You get the impression he might scowl at anybody who comes into the chapel, but he keeps rubbing, the pews, oiling it, picking up, sweeping, all of the things. But he just kind of scowls at Dr. Fields. And Dr. Fields looks at the podium and he says, "Your lectern is in the shape of the shield, the sacred shield. That was clever. Very nice." And then he walks and he stands in front of the lectern. Those of you who want to take a look at what the chapel looks like, that's kind of the layout here. The pews are around the chapel. You have that lectern in the middle in the shape of Bestera's sacred shield of protection. And he comes and stands at that bottom point right about here. And he says, "Well, gentlemen, shall we sit? Or would you prefer to stand?"
Is he talking to Brother Havanel or all of us? Because
Looking at all of you, Brother Havernell says, "Sit if you are comfortable, my son." And he said, when he says "my son," Dr. Fields goes, just smiles. like that. And he comes over and he sits down in that first pew on the right in front of the lectern. And he says, well, thank you very much for admitting me. I am quite grateful to be having a conversation with you. He says, I should be a little bit more specific. My name is Dr. Abenor Fields. I am the chairperson for the Committee of Agriculture for the Faith of Man. And I was hoping that perhaps we could have a civil conversation and maybe come to some kind of understanding. And he just kind of waits and gauges your reaction.
The Faith of Man.
Says that he is the chairperson for the Committee of Agriculture for the Faith of Man.
I want to step forward and say,
from the back of the chapel?
From the back, say, oh, what a pleasure. and go up and shake his hand.
Okay. All right. He stands up when you come over to him, and he smiles at you and he warmly shakes your hand. And he says, thank you very much for your hospitality. If the circumstances were reversed, I'm sure it would be very difficult for me or anyone amongst the Faith of Man to be able to admit you the same way to our embassy. But I thank you for inviting me. I'm hoping that good things can come from our conversation today. He says, I must admit that I don't know very much of you. I don't know you other than the fact that you've certainly gained our attention since you entered the city. I've heard that you're all priests, but I don't know more than that. I've introduced myself. I would be much appreciative of the pleasure of your names.
Lachlan Dulay of House Delay from Talisboon. I serve the greater goddess Sindel.
Very pleased to meet you, Lachlan Dulay. And he looks to you, Anduriel.
My name is Anduriel.
Pleasure to meet you, Anduriel. And he looks to you, Gizik. My name's Dispensable. Sorry. In the chat, Aramax is saying, the ogre's dispensable. Have him answer the door.
Yeah.
He's just the biggest and scariest.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that was my thinking too, right? Scare him off, maybe. I was expecting like a crowd of people with pitchforks or something.
Okay.
Not just
Alrighty.
a couple of politicians.
So he looks to you, Gizik, and do you introduce yourself? Do you give him your name?
I'm Gizik. We're cleaning up your demons.
All right. He says, I'm very pleased to meet you, Mr. Gizik. And he says, and I thank you for opening the door to me. And he says, now, as for cleaning up demons, he says, I understand that you have quite a number of reasons to perhaps, from your point of view, look at us askance. But I want to tell you a little bit about what we're about, because I don't want you to have the wrong impression just because some of our methods have seemed heavy-handed. He says, I don't know how familiar you are with the Faith of Man, but let me tell you what my responsibilities are within the organization so that you'll perhaps understand where I'm coming from. I am the chairperson for the Committee of Agriculture, and that means that wherever the Faith of Man has an embassy, it is my responsibility to teach people the principles of agriculture so that they are able to be self-sufficient and to grow their own food. And therefore, it is also my responsibility in times such as these to make sure that people learn these things quickly, that they learn the growing of crops that grow quickly, that they learn the arts of animal husbandry, the things that will permit them to be able to create self-sustaining food sources for quite some time. I'm also responsible in the current crisis for purchasing foodstuffs from outlying farms and trying to make sure that they make their way to Winter Run. Now, given that trade has been shut down temporarily, this has been quite the task. Occasionally, if it's required, the faith of man has also been able to use magic in order to produce the foodstuffs necessarily. It's not something that we would normally wish to use enchantment for, but it has been necessary in these difficult times. He says, wherever the faith of man opens an embassy, our purpose is to educate and to help people to become self-sufficient. Now, I realize that you, Mr. Lachlan, and you, Brother Havernell, at the very least, are quite dedicated to your faith. And I do not look down at you for that. I do not share your opinion. You are, no doubt, I'm sure, aware the faith of man believes that mortal kind need to be looking to no deity for their own advancement or exaltation, whatever you wish to call it. We believe that men can and have, in the history of our world, been able to get along quite well without the help of a deity. Now, I know that this stands in opposition to beliefs that are sacred to you. I hope that you'll understand that our beliefs are equally sacred to us. I know that we have some unsavory allies or associates, but...
Like the Red Caps?
And he says, he looks at you and he smiles briefly, and he says, the Red Caps are a plague upon this city that need to be rooted out.
What's the name of the lady we met on the road?
Mrs. Waterford.
Mrs. Waterford said, but so some you take he says, just as in with any faith, it seems that there may be a wide variety of variations on faithfulness and perspective, and some people have used religion as a means to accomplish their own agenda. It's been clear to us that Mrs. Waterford, who claims to be a member of the faith, was in league with the Red Caps, and then gave a false report to the Just Blades that ended with a dangerous combat situation in the inn. So I hope that you don't share Mrs. Waterford's deceptive and disagreeable methods. If you're just here for charity, then by all means, let's continue the partnership. But we will have nothing whatsoever to do with Mrs. Waterford, because she is a lying. It's not nice to say such mean things about people.
Okay. He says, he looks at you and he sighs a little bit. I would like you guys to make an insight check.
Natural 20. What a waste of a natural 20.
23.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. The natural 20. Anduriel, you pick up immediately on the fact that him speaking negatively about Mrs. Waterford has kind of irked Dr. Fields, but he's hiding it very well. Or he's either hiding it very well, or he's trying not to be provoked at all. And so he just kind of nods at you. Lachlan, what did you get?
21.
All right, Lachlan, you get the same idea. You say Mrs. Waterford, but then he's like, he says, Sybil can be quite, excuse me, not Sybil. Moving on down. He says, Clary. He says, Clary can be quite forceful and quite direct in terms of her methods. I don't expect you to view her in the same light that I do, but surely you have at times warranted that the use of force was necessary in sustaining and upholding your own beliefs, yes?
I worship the goddess of truth. I would never tell a false report to help that someone I didn't like would be arrested, especially a report as destructive and disgusting as that one of your companions. How would you like it if I told the Just Blades that Patch Boy over here killed and ate babies, and the Just Blades came to arrest him for that? That's what Mrs. Waterford did to us.
Did you say Hatch Boy?
Patch.
Oh, Patch Boy?
Yeah.
All right, you say
Captain Hook over here.
You say Patch Boy, Captain Hook, and he looks at you and he openly sneers at you.
The
But he
Patch Boy?
doesn't. Patch Boy, yeah.
Oh.
He openly sneers at you, but he doesn't move a muscle. Looks like he's in complete control of them. Just all you get is just.
I give him a wink.
Okay.
And I say, sorry, didn't know your name.
All right. He says, this is my bodyguard and friend, Furine. And he says, Furine he's quite protective, and he's a good man, I assure you. I understand that from your perspective, that Mrs. Waterford's acts might seem not only criminal, but monstrous. But I also want you to understand one of the reasons why we do what we do. When the church is solely responsible in the Adari Republic for carrying out charitable works, those charitable works are inherently attached to your belief system. He says this to Brother Havernell, and he says, I am not of the opinion, neither is the faith of man, that charitable works or service should be dependent upon one's relationship with a set of beliefs that one does not share. The faith of man is largely interested in providing an alternative opportunity for those in the Republic to be able to seek and to gain the advancement in their life that they need in order to be able to move up in life, increase their station, increase the stability of their existence without having to accept beliefs that they do not share. He says, surely you can't fault us for that.
Well, it's based on a false premise. I cannot imagine. So I don't share all of the beliefs that Brother Havernell shares, and yet the first time I met him, he offered me pie and welcomed me with open arms. There was nothing dependent. I didn't have to pay alms. I didn't have to pray to Bestera. So the premise is false in assuming that if you don't share the faith of Bestera, you're not going to get your pot of oatmeal at the soup line or whatever.
All right, he says, and yet I see you defending the Church of Bestera. You're here in the chapel, aren't you? You're not staying elsewhere.
So we came here after Epistovus tried to lead a mob of redcaps to burn the chapel down. We disposed of him. That's maybe you noticed the fire outside. That was his funeral pyre.
Okay. He purses his lips and he says, I noticed the pyre. And he says, and I am aware of other things and conflicts that have been had throughout the city. But I don't think that focusing on that is the best direction for us to take. I have a proposition for you.
Finally.
Okay. Does Andriel say it out loud?
Yep.
Okay. He says, what I am offering you is a truce, so to speak, that I offer on behalf of Mrs. Waterford and all the faith of man within the city. Take your friends, take Brother Havernell with you, and Sister Contratia, and Brother Ferrante, and leave the city, and move on with your missionary work and the teachings of Bestera to another city, to another country, to another place. And let us tend to the people of the town of Winterrun and continue to build upon the good things that we have accomplished here. We want nothing but the best for these people.
Such as terrorizing the populace with red caps and committing some atrocities with who's the possessed one now?
The possessed one?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
Guildmaster?
Guildmaster Travers of the Mining Guild.
Yeah.
St. Delia Adira told you that he was possessed, and she said he's not the only one who's possessed in Winterrun or in the Adari Republic.
We cannot in good conscience leave these people to those that consort with devils and serve a devil and call it faith. It says, and I suspect that the faith of man is behind the closed doors of the keep, and the absence of the Night Lord and the Hope Master Andante scandal. Just as the fraudulent charges were waged against Gizik from Mrs. Waterford, I can't imagine that's the first time that lies have passed her lips.
Okay.
We will pass wholeheartedly, and I know I've been warned not to speak for the group, but I'm pretty sure this is a safe bet that we will never leave here while Mrs. Waterford's head remains attached to her body.
Oh. You tell us to leave, Doctor, and continue on our mission? Well, our mission is Winter Run. We are here to protect the town and to set things to rights.
Okay.
If you want to aid us in helping the city, we'll accept your aid.
Starting with aiding us in the arrest of Mrs. Waterford.
Okay. He says,
in the mind link, the mind link, I'm going to say to Gizik and Duriel and Brother Havernell, this is going not very diplomatically, and I suspect that blood will be spilled here momentarily. Get ready.
So suspicious. My goodness gracious.
Well,
That's weird. You'd think that.
Okay. So he purses his lips, but he allows you to finish without interrupting. And he nods and he says, I understand how you feel. And I didn't expect that I would convince you. I just hoped that I would. And he says, I, of course, am completely unaware of many of the conspiracies that you claim to know about. But he says, however, I thank you for listening to me. And he says, perhaps if we can have more such conversations, then there will be fewer fisticuffs or acts of force involved in relations between the faith of man and the church. He says, but I thank you for hearing me, and I suppose I should take my leave now. I don't suppose that there's anything I can do to change your mind.
I told you. Confess. Have Lady Waterford confess that she was behind the red caps, and also a part of the Chain Devil, who we've also slain, causing the dead to stay awake, and that just confess her crimes. If she will confess her crimes publicly in the public square to all of the citizenry, that might be enough for us to take a hike and take our truths somewhere else. I'm sure the faith of man isn't just here.
All right. He looks at you and he says, I'm sorry, but I am unfamiliar with these crimes that you would accuse, but I will say this. Mrs. Waterford is a good woman, and she cares deeply about the people not only of Winter Run, but of the Adari Republic. And
I want to make an insight. I want to make an insight check. Is he? What I'm trying to gauge is he believe what he's saying?
Okay,
is he buying his own BS?
Yeah.
Go for it.
That's a 19 plus 7, 26.
Okay. When he says, I have no knowledge of any of these crimes, he is lying through his teeth about that. When he said, I don't know anything about any crimes like this, he is lying. However, when he says that he is sorry, that he was hoping that we could come to some kind of arrangement, when he can, expresses these sentiments, you get the feeling that he is 100% earnest, that he doesn't want bloodshed, and he means what he says in terms of his desires to help the people. and to be of service. You get the impression that he is definitely thinking that he is the one who's on the side of the angels. So
that's so messed up. But so he, I'm sorry. He thinks he's on the side of the angels, but he knows about the red caps.
He knows about all the atrocities, and he's still like, yeah.
The ends justify the means. I mean, what the heck?
Well, he wouldn't be the first villain who was thoroughly convinced that he was doing the right thing. Right?
I pose the question again telepathically to my allies. Do we take this fool and do some further interrogation after subduing him to figure out how we can advance our cause here with and get to Mrs. Waterford? I have a feeling that that he says it's a little bit sneaky, dirty to make the first strike here and in this holy place, but
okay, he stands up while you're having this mental conversation, and he reaches out to shake Brother Havernell's hand first. Brother Havernell looks like he would just about no sooner shake his hand than whack him with the stick that he uses for walking. But Brother Havernell shakes his hand, and Dr. Fields says, "I'm surprised to see you letting others do your talking for you here in the chapel that is dedicated to your lady, but I see that you are well buttressed by their efforts." And he nods to you, and he says, "Good day to you, Brother Havernell." And then he reaches out to shake your hand also, Lachlan.
Did I get anything? Did I get anything in there? Any response?
What to say here? What is the risk? What's the risk of letting these men leave? Are they the only source of information that we have? Can we not get this information? The doctor doesn't worry me at all. His associate, I've been in this business a long time. His associate is a dangerous man. However, that is my ogre. You are my bard. If it's time, it's time.
All right. Lachlan, if you don't shake his hand, he will move on to Anduriel.
No, I shake his hand.
Okay.
And I will say, Sindel save you.
To who?
To Dr. Liar Pants.
Okay. All right. He looks up at you and he says, "I don't require a goddess to grow or feel the love in my heart. And I think if you were to look at it more objectively, you'd find that you don't either." Anduriel, do you shake his hand?
Anduriel doesn't move.
Okay. He doesn't even move on to Gizik after Anduriel. He's like, whatever. That's fine. So he turns and he walks out. He walks to the front doors of the chapel. Okay. And then he looks over, he stops and he turns around in the front door of the chapel, like right at the very entrance. And he turns around and he looks over to Furine and he nods at Furine. And Furine throws a chakram through the stained glass window to the right.
If he goes for a chakram,
It's initiative.
As soon as his hand goes to his belt, he's getting a magic spell to the tuchus.
Okay, roll for initiative, gentlemen.
Come on.
All right.
$19.
Okay, Anduriel 19.
15.
19. Gizik 15.
Yeah, 15.
All right. Lachlan 23.
Yep.
All right. Boom. Shakalaka. You go up. Furine has a +6. And he gets himself a 15 also. Gizik, what's your dexterity?
8.
All right. So we're going to make him 16, Gizik, because he is just a bit faster than you are. Okay.
That's pretty much
Alrighty.
everybody.
Well. Okay. All right. Dr. Fields only gets an 8.
Dr. Dandy.
Alrighty. And 25. Alrighty. All right, Lachlan. He goes and he chucks his chakram, and it is, I would say it's the surprise round, but you were kind of waiting. You were kind of waiting anyway. So, Lachlan, it would be your turn first. He goes down and reaches for a chakram at his belt. For those of you who might be in chat watching, if you don't know what a chakram is, it's the little disc like Xena Warrior Princess fought with one. The chakram is a bladed discus, basically.
As soon as he goes for his belt, I shout out, "Lady Trueheart, shatter his heart on the altar of your scorn." And he's gonna get a little channel divinity action going on. What's his will?
Okay. His will is, one moment. It takes 1 second for this bad boy to load. His will is 14.
Well, that's 26. That'll do.
Okay. That'll do, pig.
He is going to be pulled 5, knocked prone, gain vulnerability 5 until the end of my next turn, and he has to spend his standard action begging forgiveness and confessing his undying love to me.
Okay. So that would put him at square 26L. That is where Furine is. The doctor is 3 squares back in the center in what would be 29K. Little off the map by 1 square. Okay.
So which square does that put me in?
That puts you, well, if you stayed where you were when he shook your hands, then you're still standing by the lectern.
Oh, well, we'll follow him out. I mean, if he's...
Okay. All right. So how far are you going to follow him out? He turned around, like at the lectern, he turned around and started walking. So tell me where you are.
Let's see. I want to be at 19K.
Okay. And Duriel, where are you?
All right. Well, we were probably, like he said, we were following them out, kind of escorting them from the premises. So I imagine Anduriel took up sort of a advantageous position or a protective position. So I'm going to say Anduriel's at 22E or F.
22F. Okay.
Between those two
pews. All right, Gizik, where are you, my friend? Gizik? You hear me?
Yeah.
Did you hear me? Or...
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that I will be following them to bar the door as they leave. So I will go to 23M.
23M. All right, Gizzy Wizik. Alrighty. So Lachlan, you pull him forward, of course, but not too far forward, because you weren't that close to begin with, right? So what's the range? What is the range on
10?
10?
10 squares.
Okay. Alrighty. So Furine takes his chakram and he looks like he's gonna chuck it at the stained glass window, and then you hit him with that power, and he turns around and he looks at you, comes running forward and falls to his knees and looks up, and now Gizik's in the way, and he looks up and he looks at Gizik and goes, "Move! I can't see him!" And that's pretty much what happens on your turn. Lachlan, you still have a minor and a move, right?
Yep. Man, oh man! With my minor, I'm gonna use Bardic Inspiration on Gizik.
Okay.
And yeah, he just starts singing "If You Leave Me Now," and like, you know.
Very nice. All right.
You feel inspired.
All right, Gizik, you're
And
feeling
then-
inspired or creeped out. One of the two. Maybe both. That's okay.
And then I want to move till I'm right in front of Purine. So he's at 26L.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be at 25L.
26L, you say. So you will be at 25L.
Yeah.
All right, so Lachlan moves right in front of Furine, who now is so happy when you come into his view, Lachlan. He's so happy. Which is really irritating to Dr. Fields. Okay. All right, Lachlan, so that's your move and your minor and your standard. Okay, so Gizik, you now have, is it a 1d6, a 1d8? What is it that he has?
Yeah, he has a 1d6.
All right, 1d6 to a roll that you choose, Gizik. All right, that was Lachlan's turn. Now it is Anduriel's turn.
Okay, he's gonna try one more time to talk to the doctor here.
Okay.
Is that a minor or is that my standard action?
That's a minor action.
Okay, then that's
I mean, you can't give the "I have a dream" speech here with a minor action, but you can rattle off a few words. It's just not worth. I'm sorry I kill your creativity here.
There goes my plan. Thanks.
Yeah. Dang it.
Okay. Now Anduriel's gonna kind of shout out to the doctor. Good doctor, I'm giving you one last chance. If you'd like to come in and have a conversation and we can share truths, not this blathering idiocy that you expected us, this drivel that you expected us to believe when you were here before, I will give you this one more chance to come in and tell us the truth.
Okay. Do you want to ready an action to see how he responds, or do
Correct,
you want
yeah.
to just take? Yep. Okay. All right, Anduriel, you are readying an action then. And now it would be Furine's turn. Okay. So Lachlan, it's only his standard action that's taken up, but he does. All right. So Lachlan, he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." It's like, and he looks back at the Dr. Fields, like he's like, "I don't know what I was thinking when I took work for him. I'm a mercenary. It's what I do. It's all I've ever known. You have to forgive me. I'm sorry." And he looks at you and he's like, "Tell me how I can make up for this. Tell me what I can do. Tell me what the hell am I saying?" And he looks at you and he looks up and then he just stands up at you, Lachlan, or he stands up with his move action. And what is he going to do with his minor action? With his minor action, Lachlan, he is going to chuck a bunch of caltrops on the floor. And so he is going to chuck some caltrops into square 24K. So, gentlemen, square 24K, and all of the squares around it are now covered in caltrops. Gizik, that includes the square that you are in, and the square that Lachlan is in.
How far out does it go?
It's a burst 1 from 24K. So
Okay.
all the squares around that one are now covered in caltrops. For those of you who are looking, it looks kind of like that. There's Furine. You got caltrops all around the area that he chucked that little ball into.
Is that a ranged attack?
Nope, it's a close burst.
Well, I said I was in 23M, not L.
I think it misses Gizik.
23.
So I'm one space to the right of where you had me on that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so he's still gonna drop it in the same place.
Oh, okay.
It's not you necessarily. So yeah, that's not a ranged attack. It's a burst. So he just gets to choose what square he wants it to fall into in the burst. So anyway, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. It's a burst 2, not a burst 1.
Okay.
So let me fill in some more squares.
Does that affect him too then?
Yep. All right, so Gizik, now that does affect you. Lachlan, you're in it, and so is he. All right, so there you go. That's what it looks like now. All of those squares are covered in caltrops now. Now, you can walk in that area, but I wouldn't recommend it if you need to. Anyway, that is Furine's turn, and now it would be... So, Anduriel, he throws down the caltrops, but you haven't gauged the doctor's reaction yet. Gizik, it is your turn now, my friend.
All right then. I'm gonna try to bewitch Furine.
Aaron says DM retcon again. It's not a DM retcon. It is not. It is not. I looked at the range of the power, and it's a close burst 2. It's not. Okay. I'm not a witch. I'm not. Anyway, moving on. Okay, Gizik, you are going to do what?
I am going to try to bewitch Furine.
Okay. Furine's will is only 14. Go for it.
It's a 22.
All right, Furine falls under your power.
All right, and I would like to have that affect his fortitude, please.
Okay.
-2 on his fortitude.
So his fortitude goes down by 2.
Yep.
Okay. All righty. Mark that down. Yonder.
Okay, and then I am going to break apart into this large swarm of flying roaches.
That's gross.
Yes.
Ew.
Roaches?
And fly
Roaches are
around
ew.
and attack Furine.
Okay. Alrighty, so you become a disgusting swarm of roaches, and it reminds everybody here of Thora. And what kind of attack? What does that attack? Fortitude, I'm assuming.
Yes, fortitude.
Okay. His fortitude is only 14 now.
I just rolled a 15.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Nice.
All right. What does it do?
It does damage. Let me roll it really quick.
That's always good.
It does damage.
13 damage.
All right.
And then I
Gizik-
will reform 27.
Okay,
L.
quick question, Gizik. Is this a blast, this power?
Yes,
Or-
it is. It's a blast.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Blast
All right,
3.
So 14 points of damage. And what else does it do?
Okay, so I just noticed that it's each creature, not each enemy, so
So,
think
Lachlan, you
I'll have
also
to roll against Lachlan's fortitude as well.
Okay, what's your fortitude, Lachlan?
Sorry.
Oh, it's a 15.
It's a 15. Go for it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that'll hit.
Is it a
Oh,
natural
man.
20?
No, it's not a natural 20.
Okay,
No.
well, it's not a 20. Lachlan, you take 14 points of damage as Gizik.
It was 13.
Blasts 13, excuse me.
Man, sorry, I didn't plan that one out.
Well, it is somewhat realistic. You're, I'm assuming, experimenting with your mother's magic. So apparently you watched her do this spell, and maybe it doesn't go off perfectly the first time.
And even if I personally wasn't inspired by Thora's choice because I had this plan forever ago, I can say that Gizik was inspired by that.
Okay.
No. You see in the chat, LOL, that's the time to get a crit and back it up. Auto kill a party member.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm sure Ryan thanks you very sweetly.
You better hope you don't need healing here.
Yeah. Okay.
But I am out of the caltrops, at least.
All right. Where did you teleport to? What square, Gizik?
27L. So I am right on the other side, flanking with Lachlan. It'll make it easier for you to hit him.
There you go. All right.
He's still vulnerable 5 damage, so he actually takes 18.
Very nice.
Stupid, ugly.
How do you really feel? Okay.
Sorry, I thought I could control that a little better.
All right. So, Lachlan, you get devoured by all of these, like, what did you say? Roaches?
Roaches, yes. A
I'm not even
swarms
sure
cloud of roaches.
So, Lachlan, you see this cloud of roaches? They fall over Furine, and he just got up. So he's like, ah, like that. Ah! And they're all biting him. And Lachlan, you're like, ha ha! And then they fall all over you. And Duriel, you watch in the background as Gizik's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Anyway, poor Lachlan. So there you have it, my friends. All right.
I actually feel pretty good about that. Finally, it's not me.
Okay, yeah, finally. The first time it's happened. All right. The first thing that Dr. Fields does is, Anduriel, he doesn't even answer you when you speak. So his action in response is to cast Healing Word on Furine, which Furine very much appreciates.
Anduriel has a readied action, though, right?
He does have a readied action. So Anduriel, he heals Furine. He reaches out his hand and starts chanting, and he grips something under his clothing, and there is a wash of green healing magic that flows over Furine, and Furine's wounds where these beetles are hitting him kind of sprout these little buds.
They're roaches. They're not as classy as beetles.
Yeah, excuse me, roaches. These nasty roaches that were like all over him, biting him. He kind of covers Furine in some kind of like foliage or moss, and it grows over, and the roaches or nasties they're falling off.
They're
and
very
Furine,
elegant roaches.
I'm sure they're all yeah. I'm sure your mother, the hag, taught you to summon beautiful
They
roaches
drink like that.
Okay, so Anduriel,
well,
that's his minor action.
When he doesn't know this, but when he raises his hand and I see him start chanting, that's like Anduriel's trigger. Somebody's chanting something.
Okay.
That's it.
So what are you gonna do, Anduriel?
So Anduriel says, when he sees his arm go up and he's not responding, so be it. And I'm going to attack with Weapon of Divine Protection.
Okay, Anduriel, who are you attacking?
Dr. Demento there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're still too far away, my friend, unless you want to run through the caltrops.
I got him from where I'm at.
You do?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
You are on. Oh, dang it! Hold on. You are on square 22F, right?
Yeah, Yeah, so I go down to 23 G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puts me at 28 J, and I thought he was 29 J.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he at?
He is in 29K.
Okay. Well, either way, I mean, so am I one off?
You are one off. You are one square.
So
now, if you want, you can run to get to him, but you'll take a -5 to the attack.
Well, then how about we do something different?
28J would still be adjacent to him.
28J would be adjacent to him, but 1, 2,
Oh, so I
3,
guess
4, 6. Yeah, if that's the square you want to move into.
yeah. Oh, I can still get him because I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Never mind. Same plan.
All right. And you're going to hit him with Weapon of Divine Protection?
Yeah, it's versus armor class.
Okay, his armor class is 19.
Okay, and I have a plus. It's a weapon attack +7. So that is 17. 18. Well, that's 17, and then I have my
Okay.
Attack bonus, so I got him.
All right, you got more than enough.
Yeah. Yep. So let me roll damage on that one. It's 8. That's 14 damage.
Okay.
And then yeah, that was my ready to action.
Okay.
Allies adjacent to me get +2 to defenses till end. I don't think anybody's close enough though.
Nope. And Uriel,
Okay.
you are now right after Gizik in initiative.
Okay.
FYI. Okay. Alrighty. So that he's not going to appreciate. Okay, he follows through with healing Gizik. And what is his next step? And Uriel, he really doesn't like you for doing that a little bit. All right.
Weapon +1 die 6 plus bonus.
When this encounter's over, I think I'm going to use Unrequited Love on Gizik. Make him confess his sins. He can spend a turn confessing his sins to me.
I find that to be.
You think I can fit it into a turn?
I find that highly. Oh wow! Oh my goodness! I think we have our first ship here done by.
Well, I can sustain it as a standard action. But,
okay. Okay. This is good. I mean, this is so magical. I don't even have words for it. All right, we'll role play that later. Or you know what? Maybe the two of you have your own Zoom meeting and you role play it together and tell the rest of us how it works out. So, okay. So there is that his lips purse. And Uriel, you come up and slash him, and he goes, "Oh!" He doesn't even be, he's not even carrying a weapon, right? He heals Furine. And then he shifts back to square 29L. 1 square away from you, Anduriel, and 1 square away from Gizik. And he is going to cast Wall of Thorns. And Anduriel, he can affect, it's an 8 square wall. So that whole 2-block area in front of you and Gizik, all 8 squares of the entryway not covered by the caltrops are now covered in a wall of thorns. And he's kind of like shoved up against the door with this wall of thorns in front of him. And Duriel, what is your reflex, my friend?
Reflex 16.
All right. He got a 17. I don't suppose there's anything anybody can do to help him out. He only got you by 1. He hit you by 1. So anything you can do, Lachlan, Gizik, anybody?
I don't think so.
All right,
Run
Anduriel.
away.
Now, Gizik, you are also in this wall of thorns. Gizik, what is your reflex?
Well, given how fast I am, it's not very high. 12.
Okay, he missed you. So the wall comes up around you, Gizik, but as these huge, nasty thorns are growing around you, you're like, oh, no. You're like pushing the thorns away, and they grow up around you, and they trap you, but they're not cutting into you.
What did you roll, like a 2?
No, we rolled a 6, actually. So, Anduriel, you take 9 points of piercing damage and ongoing damage 5.
Okay.
Okay, the wall is 4 squares high, and it lasts until the end of the encounter. The zone is difficult terrains for anybody that does not have Forest Walk, and any creature without Forest Walk that enters the zone is going to take some damage. It is a nasty bit of business that he has summoned in front of you.
Okay. From the depths of the thorns, Anduriel shouts, Naylock, let the shadow of your vengeance take my enemies. And he's going to do Shadow of Naylock as an immediate reaction.
Oh, you little puddum, you. Okay. Alrighty. Do you have to attack?
It doesn't say it's
Nope.
an attack. It's just...
All right, so your shadow starts choking him, right?
Yep, target takes ongoing 5 necrotic. And then he gets saved twice.
Alrighty. So, all right, so your shadow comes over and starts choking him. I will mark that down. And Anduriel, wall 5. Gizik, you did not get hit. Okay. All right. So that is his standard action. That is his minor action. For his move action, Dr. Fields transforms himself into a small... He what?
He already shifted back one.
He shifted back one. You are correct. Okay. For his action point, Dr. Fields is going to transform himself into a crow. So he transforms down into a very minuscule crow form, making it pretty hard to see him with the thorns and the people in the way, Lachlan. Okay, that would be Dr. Fields' turn. Now it is Miles Havernell's turn. Miles is still standing back by the lectern. He is in square 15J.
15J. Where is the pie? What square is the pie?
The pie.
I think it's in the back room.
Hey, are you making fun of him because he has a coping mechanism?
Well, it's like, hey, come eat pie with me, and then he just eats it all in front of us.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. It's very Dean. It's very Winchester. I love it.
It is very Dean Winchester. Okay, let's see. He is kind of horrified. So, with Brother Havernell's minor action, he yells, "Sister Contratia, get your staff!" And we haven't. She's still in the kitchen.
Bring the
Tries
forks.
to call us.
Yeah.
She tries to call a staff meeting.
Big possibility. She comes. Yeah. Who knows what she's going? She might come out with a cantaloupe. We don't know what's going to happen on Sister Contratia's turn. So with his minor action, he yells out for Sister Contratia, and Brother Havernell takes a move action and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to square 23L. So he comes shuffling quickly down the pews to that square right in front of the pews, and he is going to cast Armor of Faith. The target gains a +4 bonus to a defense of your choice until the end of the encounter, and I think Lachlan, he's going to cast it on you because given what you just did, Furine is ready to release his Furine on you.
Did he just walk right into the caltrops?
No, it's a close burst. He doesn't have to get that close. He's in square 23L, right in front of the caltrops. So he casts on you, Lachlan, Armor of Faith, and he grabs his holy symbol, and fearlessly he holds it up, and he says, Heavenly Mother of Protection, grant him your blessing. And then he reaches out his hand like that, and Lachlan, you are covered in a silvery armor that kind of lands over you with a like ching ching sound like of a metal clasp coming over. And there's a bright flash of light, and wings extend out behind you briefly. And that glowing silver armor is kind of ghostly, and it's superimposed over your form. But you feel very protected. And that will be his turn. So, Lachlan, you have a +4 to your AC for the whole encounter.
Hey, that would help when you're... well, I guess if it's AC, it wouldn't help. But that would help when your witch turns into a bunch of flying insects and attacks everything in sight.
Well, it would. I don't think Brother Havernell anticipated you attacking Lachlan. I'm not sure, frankly, anybody did.
I didn't even anticipate that.
All right, that's Brother Havernell's turn. All right, back up to the top. The stained glass windows in the sides shatter, and 4 red caps come in on ropes, and they land in square U4 and T4. And 2 more red caps come in and land in squares 4A and 5A. Okay. It's going to take their entire action, but 4 red caps come in through the windows, and they shatter these beautiful stained glass windows. And then they drop the ropes or let go of the ropes, pull it off, and then they pull crossbows down off their backs, and they load their crossbows. And that is going to be their entire turn. However, Lachlan, it is now your turn, my friend.
Okay. I'm going to use Blunder
On
Furine.
Okay, that is Blunder is that a close burst? Is it how does that work?
It's ranged, but my expertise feat means I don't provoke attacks of opportunity with ranged attacks.
Ooh. Okay, Blunder, are you going for his will?
I am. Yeah.
His will is 14.
Yep. All right, that's an 18.
That'll hit.
So he is going to take 12 points of damage.
You're mean. Poor Furine. What did he do to you guys?
He showed up. He aligned himself with a villain.
Okay.
He took the wrong contract.
He did. He did apologize for it, though. He may have been magically coerced into apologizing. I just think it's important to note that.
It's out there.
So I can slide him 3. I want to slide him towards Gizik so that Gizik can take a smack at him.
All right. You are sliding him towards Gizik.
That's through the caltrops, right?
Okay, what square are you moving him to?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. What square is Gizik in?
27L?
Is in
27L.
Oh, you're right next to him then.
Yeah.
Are you trying to provoke an attack of opportunity by making him wander around?
27L.
Well, if I can slide him, I want to slide him into the caltrops and see what happens.
He's standing in the caltrops already.
But if he slid through it, is it gonna?
Moving through the caltrops will cause you problems.
Okay, so I want to slide him to.
Tiptoe through the caltrops.
So you can also move him into the thorns.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Or you could make him sit in one of the pews and think about what he did.
Oh.
Oh.
Almost.
Okay.
If you could move from 4.
Hey, show me your map, Matt, because I don't have. Okay, I want to slide him to left 1 and then down 1, so it slides him through caltrops and into the thorns.
Okay. I hate to break it to you, but he is going to use his immediate interrupt, find your sea legs, and he is going to negate your forced movement. So, Lachlan, you start twanging on, or you're twanging the chords of your lyre, and every time you hit a twang, he goes, and he starts moving around. As he moves forward to take a step, he grabs his greatsword and backflips and lands right back in the same square he's in. And look, he throws off your spell.
Well, he still takes the damage, right?
Yep.
And Gizik still gets a free melee basic attack with a +3, so.
Go for it, Gizzy. How much damage was it, Lachlan? 12?
It was 12. Uh-huh.
Yep, I marked it off.
What you said with the +3?
Yeah.
That makes it 26.
That hits everyone's everything at 3rd level.
Barely. Ooh.
So much damage. 6 damage.
Okay.
He's still vulnerable, so it's 11.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better for rolling a 1.
Ouch. Okay. All right, poor Furine. He's taking it.
We'll just wait until my turn.
I want to use my action point.
Okay. You're pissed because he used find your sea legs, aren't you?
Well, and because my stupid ugly ally dealt 13 damage to me.
It's bad enough that he's stupid, but he's ugly too, and so he's okay.
It's a new power.
I'm gonna use staggering note.
All right.
It's also versus will, and that's 17. So he'll take 10 thunder damage.
Oh, he loves you. All right.
And then I can't slide him into the thorns, but I can I can't slide him into the caltrops, but right into the thorns. So you gonna negate that one too, sucker?
Are you going to? Well, no. You can only do one immediate interrupt action per round. So no. So you slide him where? Next to Gizik?
Next to Gizik, and Gizik. Oh, you get another melee basic attack as a free action. No +3, but
Oh.
All right.
So he's in 27K.
yeah.
Okay.
Anything you can do to help me with this?
A 1?
He gave you. Oh.
You rolled a 1?
I rolled a 1.
I love
Imperial! Get over here! Gizik can't hit the broadside of a bar!
I just hit him! Come on!
And you rolled a 1!
Well, that was the damage, yeah. And then on my second attack, I missed completely.
It's gonna be great. They're gonna be reading on some D&D forum. Holy Rollerz fell apart as a command because of a 1. It can't. Okay.
So does he take damage from the thorns then too?
If he moves into the thorns, yeah, he takes damage.
Because he's
Gizik
still
misses
vulnerable.
him.
He's still vulnerable till the end of my turn.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is beat to crap. So Lachlan comes in and uses starts plucking on his yarding, right?
Yeah.
Lachlan, you pluck the strings of his yarding, and he shakes it off and backflips, lands in the square, and you take your sword and you clang it on the stone floor of the chapel. And as you move it, the vibration kind of knocks him sideways, and he goes stumbling into the thorns. You can pull with a staggering note, or is it a slide, or is it a push? Like, what is the?
It's a push. Yeah.
Okay. And so you hit him with the reverberations from your sword, and he stumbles back into the wall. He just looks like he's beat to crap, but he's still got bugs, and he's like all clawing and biting him, and he hates his life, and he's embarrassed. and he's got scratches now all over him from the thorns and tripping over couch. I mean, he's in really, really bad shape. If you pee on him, he might go down.
How much damage did he take from those thorns?
From the thorns? He took 5 points of damage from moving through the thorns.
Oh, he doesn't get the attack from it.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't there when the wall sprang up, unfortunately.
Okay. So it was really 10 points of damage.
So yes, it was 10 points of damage that he took. But it looked like it would have done over. It looked like it would have done 5 to anyone else though. He's vulnerable. He's still feeling very vulnerable inside. He's like,
it's emotional damage.
I'm a mercenary. These things, I don't fall to these things. I don't have feelings like this. So
fine. I don't even need this patch. It's fake.
It's not even real. I just wanted to look cool. So no, he so anyway.
And and with my minor action, I'm using Majestic Word to heal myself because that's what happens when
we know. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, has anybody from the other side hit you yet, Lachlan? Or is all that damage from your own party?
It's all from Gizik.
It's all friendly fire.
Just curious, friendly fire.
I think Lachlan is as upset that it was from cockroaches as he is about the pain. Because, I mean, come on.
Okay.
Like, hit me with a sword, but don't hit me with cockroaches.
Cockroaches do not go with his outfit at all. It's not even Halloween. Come on, it's not okay.
He's like plucking him out of his hair, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
All they're in his hair. Okay. Lachlan, I'm imposing disadvantage until you take a move action to get all the cockroaches off of your appearance. All right, that's Lachlan's very productive turn. It is Furine's turn. Boy, is he miserable with his Minitude. So the first thing he does is pop the cork on a healing potion. He does that with his minor action. And, oh boy, he's not liking this Wall of Thorns situation. And his only solution to the Wall of Thorns situation is to move into his caltrops. And he's really not appreciating that either. So, whatever shall he do in response? All right. Gizik, you are irritating.
Am I?
We'll
see what I do on my next turn.
Well, Anduriel's kind of irritating him too. Okay. He is going to use hack and hew. Anduriel, what's your AC? Gizik, what's your AC?
Is he bloodied?
Is he bloodied? He is bloodied, Anduriel.
Okay, 15.
All right, 15. Anduriel, he got a 16. He hit you. Gizik?
16.
Gizik, he hit you also with a 27. So, all right, Gizik, my friend, you take 9 points of damage. Anduriel, 11 points of damage. Anduriel, you take 8 points of damage. So he takes his greatsword right where he is, and extremely artfully, he starts swinging it around. And Anduriel, he swings it much faster than you think he should be able to. So he takes it, unsheathes it, and goes. He stabs you. Gizik, he pivots the sword into his other hand and comes and stabs you like that in such a swift motion that you can tell that he's done it before. It's quite a practiced move. And that is what he does with his standard action. Gizik and Anduriel, you are both marked also. If one of you tries to attack someone else on your turn, he's going to get a free melee basic attack on you. But
that won't be a problem.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's counting on you both going for it. Okay. Boy, he is in a sticky wicket situation, isn't he? All right, that's all he's going to be able to do on his turn. He'd love to move, but guess what? So, okay. All right, that's the end of his turn. And that brings us down to Gizik. It's your turn, my friend.
I'll help him move.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So with the bit of which I'm going to use my minor action to make it so I can start sliding him around now, and then use a second minor action to move him right back where he was between me and Lachlan.
So you move him between you and Lachlan, out of the thorns and into the caltrops.
Right.
All right, he takes 4 points of damage from moving into the caltrops, and he is now slowed, save ends. He's got caltrops stuck to his foot now.
Okay. And then with my standard action, I am going to attack him with Hag's Hunger.
Torrent of swear words at you, Gizik. So Gizik, you look over at him, your eyes glow green, and you beckon him forward with a claw, and he kind of turns around like he's enchanted. He's really tired of having his body controlled by your magic. And he starts walking onto the caltrops like, "Ow! Ow, mother!" And releases several kind of like gorgeous swear words. You're like, "Are you from Jersey? Dang!" Like it's like just a tapestry of profanity as he moves over. And Brother Havernell is extremely offended. No pie. So, okay.
Bring the soap, Contradia. Bring the soap.
All right. So now I'm attacking him with Hag's Hunger.
Yeah, someone's gonna have soap in his mouth if he survives.
And pie.
Because I feel bad.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a 21 and a 16.
That's a hit and a
attack.
miss.
You still have inspiration.
That was with inspiration.
Oh,
I used it on that. All right, so that's one hit. I'm going to make this a surprise strike as well.
Is that a triggered action?
Yes. If he's granting advantage and I hit him with a melee basic or at will power, then he's dazed.
Good move.
So he's dazed until the end of my next turn, and this does... seven damage.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to switch to different dice.
Well, they hit Lachlan just fine. I don't see. Okay. All right. So Gizik, you compel him to walk over into the caltrops, and he's like, "Oh, mother, freaking son of a whore!" Like all kinds of things. And then he comes in, and you reach forward, and you claw him right up his chin, trying to get his eye patch off. And you come in with the other claw, but he manages to bat your claw aside with the pommel of his greatsword. And he snarls at you, but he is a bloody freaking mess now. And he's not happy about that. So, and the thing is,
slowed and dazed and in his caltrops again.
He's slowed, dazed, in some caltrops, hates his life, cursing up a storm. So he's probably feeling a little bit bad about that. So all the above. Okay, and that is Gizik's turn. Anduriel, my friend, it is your turn. Anduriel, you're in a wall. It's a bad place to be.
Yes, it is. How do I get out? What do I need to do? Do I just...
You have to move through the wall, and if you move through the wall, you're going to take damage. You can move out of the wall towards the doctor.
No, I need to go towards Fiona there.
All right. If you move towards Furine, you're going to take 5 points of damage moving inside the wall of thorns.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So do you move to square 27L or closer?
27.
26L, 27L.
27L. That's where Gizik is, right?
Yeah.
No, Gizik is in 27L. Yeah. So you'd be moving to 27K.
Okay. Yep. That's where I'm at.
All right. So you're still in the wall, Andriel. You take 5 points of damage from moving through the wall.
Okay. And then I'm going to attack with Taste of Life.
Okay.
So versus our eye-patched friend's Fortitude.
Okay, which Gizik had lowered, but unfortunately, he wanted to play Charm Walk. So his Fortitude is back up to 16, Anduriel.
Okay, so if this is a vampire attack, so my bonus is a little bit lower.
Plus 5. You need an 11, I think, right?
Yep, I got 11.
Okay.
Okay, so and I'm going to do Blood Drinker. I'm going to trigger Blood Drinker.
Okay.
So that's an extra die 10, 8. So that is 14, 21 points of damage.
All right. And Duriel, you drop him. Right.
So
You want to channel? Well, you've already channeled Divinity.
oh yeah, I can't use Nalok's Blessing because I already used Shadow of Nalok, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
You're choking Dr. Fields as we speak with it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's very, very nice. Very nice. Let's see, I think that's it. Yep. I gain a healing surge. That's one.
Yep. You now have 3 healing surges, Enduriel.
Yay.
And he drops to the floor in a muddy, messy pile. Okay.
Beautiful.
In a bloody, bloody mess. And all right, so Enduriel, you move through the thorns, and they're cutting into you. But you're no stranger to pain. I would imagine over 100 years of hunting the dead and whatnot. So you just kind of, shake it off, and then you grab hold of him. Where do you grab hold of him by? It's the
What's
arm,
that?
the neck. Where do you grab hold of him by? The neck, the arm, the.
Oh, I grab him by his greasy hair.
Okay.
Pull him, and just then I actually go for the bite this time. Bite right into his neck.
Okay. He is not as horrified as other opponents that you've done this. You can tell he's definitely a man of courage until your fangs sink into his neck. And then he lets out a roar. He's like, oh! And then he falls unconscious as you just drain the blood out of him. And
He has a phobia of needles.
well, in the neck by the twos, I think so. As many people do. Okay. All right. That would be Enduriel's turn. Anything else you want to do, Enduriel? You have a minor action still?
I do, but I'm going to save that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that is going to be your save. All right. It is Dr. Fields' turn now. Enduriel, Dr. Fields, he flies up. And he chirps out a series of strange squawks as a crow, and moss begins to grow over Furine's form again.
He takes the 5 necrotic first, right?
Yes. Okay. So he flies up, and your shadow flies after him in the air. And he lands that mossy healing spell over Furine, and then he flies up 4 squares and 2 more over, and he will take another move action, and he will fly towards the window. So he will get over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 4 squares up in square 23R. It is rather disconcerting for those who are not allied with the shadows as you are to watch your shadow fly through the air after him. And there aren't even 3 little British children flying after the shadow. I mean, it's just your shadow, right? So it flies after him, and it catches the crow and starts shaking the crow in this really weird aerial battle between the two of them. Feathers are like falling over. Now he has to save against the effect. And he only rolled a 6. And Duriel, what happens on the first failed save?
He's blinded.
All right. Your shadow gets a hold of the crow, and it swallows and envelops the crow's form completely. It's difficult to see, but you've seen this happen before with your shadow, Enduriel, and you can tell that he has been blinded.
Good shadow. Good shadow.
And Enduriel, what happens if he fails another save?
He becomes unconscious.
Now that could be an extremely unpleasant prospect. So
You can fly
All right.
higher first.
Yeah.
yes, oh, that's good. I have to note the fact that he is 4 squares up. It shouldn't. All right, there we go.
To the shadows.
All right, so he is over that pew. It would be very unfortunate if he were to fall unconscious and land on top of that pew, like possibly breaking his little crow back. I think everybody would be pretty sad about that. That's what I think. All right, it's Brother Havernell's turn.
I'd like to use my action point.
Oh, you would you? What would you like to do with it?
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say I'm going to do a Swarm of Shadows on Lachlan, but I think he's had enough.
That's all right. Yeah,
No,
well,
sorry.
it's kind of painful. It is also, however, the same day, and you've already used Swarm of Shadows in the Mausoleum,
Oh, it's the same day.
unfortunately. So,
Okay. No, that's good to know. Thank you. I'm going to mark that.
yeah,
Along
no
the same
problem.
lines, it's been 2 encounters, right? Does that mean we get another action point now?
Yeah, you have your action point back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I don't worry as much about the action point. I tend to just start the battle with the action point because we battle, the way we battle. I don't worry about it too much.
Okay.
And you did have, it depends on how you measure an encounter too. I measured the discussion and the reading him as an encounter also. So, okay. Alrighty, that would be Brother Havernell's turn. Let me bring him up really quickly. What does he want to do? Brother Havernell, who is staring down 4 red caps with crossbows. Okay. What does he want to do?
Well, he moved down to 23L, right?
Yes, he did. He's right in front of that pew.
Okay.
All right. All right, Brother Havernell doesn't want to get hit with a crossbow. But let's see. What does he want to do? He is going to use the command spell. And that's just not advantageous. Ugh. He is very conscious of those 4 crossbow bolts. Okay. Brother Havernell is going to head towards the red caps on the right side of the church. He's going to take the run action and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and move into square S13.
S13.
So he is right between those 2 pews. And he is going to move down there and duck down into the pews and take the full defense action because he wants to get to them. He can't reach them with any of his spells or powers, and he doesn't want to get hit in the back with 4 crossbow bolts. So, and he's not Sister Contratia. Anyway. That's Brother Havernell's turn. Okay, back up to the top. We are officially at 10:30, so this is the perfect place for us to stop. So we are up at the top with 4 red caps and their crossbows, which have a decent range on that. So we will begin there next time. We believe that will be a lovely and advantageous moment. All right, cool. Okay, great. So that is where we'll start for the next time. And I believe, Ryan, you have our consider this moment for tonight, right?
I do.
Okay, go for it. Show.
Well, I actually, it was a story that I heard on Saturday. It was about a man who told about a dog that he had. The dog's name is Buffy, and the dog was old and blind, and was not supposed to be outside, but had managed to get outside in a blizzard, and And so he went out to get the dog and trudged through the snow and picked up the dog. And as soon as he picked the dog up, it bit him in the arm, and not just a little nip, but like full on bleeding. And so he bled his way into the house carrying this dog. Wouldn't let go of the dog, even though the dog was biting him. And then when he got inside, the dog jumped down and barked at him and ran off. And the analogy that was shared through that story was that's sometimes how we as parents, or people as parents for us, can that even when we are not at our best, especially if we are spiritually blind and in the cold and lost, that the people who love us will hold on even when we are biting into them. And it was just a really tender story about the kind of a modern analogy similar to the story of the prodigal son, of forgiveness and never letting go, even when it's really hard to forgive and hold on to those people that we love, because they need us. And it was a story that really touched me, and I felt like, even as irritating sometimes as my own children are, or even my children, but other people are, part of my job as a follower of Christ is to hold on, and even biting and screaming, hold on to them, and not let them stay lost and cold.
That is a wonderful story and a very good point, because I think no matter where you are on your personal or spiritual journey in life, I think we've all been the dog that bit someone who was trying to help us before, or who was trying to carry us, or who was trying to do whatever. I think we've all bit someone. Some of us have actually bit, not just in it. So, I mean, I'm referring to Jeff mostly, but that. But yeah, anybody else would like to add to that?
I love the message, because it's so easy to wanna help those who are easy to help, but sometimes the people that need it the most are those who are the dog, who they just can't see what's going on and they just don't understand, but they need the help. And yeah, I like that. It's not easy, but it's necessary to help people like that.
I agree. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ryan, for sharing that story with us. The moral of the story, I think, is we've all been the biter, and sometimes we have to hold on even when we get bit, because people need us. So, and I've always thought that that's kind of the essence of what being a Christian is about. God says, if you love me, then keep my commandments and take care. I mean, what does he care about more than his children, right? The best way for us to show him that we love him is to take care of his other children, even when they bite us. So I love that. Great story. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our stream for tonight. Thank you for those of you who are watching on YouTube. We had a few people check in with us tonight. Thanks for those of you that checked in, who may check out the rest later. I'm sure we'll hear good stories from Poinketh. So Poinketh, thank you. We're looking forward to whatever comments you have to share. We always have fun reading.
And I would love to know what we missed.
Yeah, yeah, I would like that. He always comes us with good insights. And thanks for everybody who joined us in chat. Thanks, Aaron. And have a good night. There are more of us than there are of them. Geeks are everywhere. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.